board if they have any questions for None. What about the engineering? Do you have any questions for them?
I did, just, you know, I did ask them to put the renderings up, just in case. That is one of the criteria you guys need to look at. So I just want to make sure the public and the planning commission would see that, just in case that would generate any questions.
Okay, we won't be making a decision tonight. We'll be probably making the decision in our November meeting, first Wednesday. And the township supervisors will have to vote on it the next week at their township meeting. The hearing.
So just for the public's benefit, the public comment we had is all we're going to take. So when we meet on the November 7th, it'll just be for the board to deliberate and to render a recommendation. So that part's done. So nobody had questions for the applicant? Yeah.
I didn't have any.
Why don't you grab it? You're going to
Okay.
Maybe get a little bit louder for a moment.
There you go. I do have a couple questions, just general information, obviously. You mentioned that there was an extensive study done to the geotechnical part of this. Obviously, there's some mass grading proposed to pad out the site.
Yes.
Has there been any consideration to blasting at this point and limiting that to no blasting as part of the project?
Not yet, no.
Okay.
That would be obviously something we'd have to look at later in the stage once the buildings are fixed. And then the additional geophysical surveying is done based upon where the building is located.
Okay. Obviously noise is a big concern. You guys are willing to talk about some landscaping things in the way of berms and things like that when we get to land development, but
Yeah.
I do think that's something important just to keep in mind is probably some more berms as part of the landscaping would be recommended.
Yes, and we do have those proposed now. The complete detail obviously is not done, but yes, there are berms and landscaping around the perimeter proposed.
Perfect, thank you.
You're welcome.
Stormwater has been a big part of topic. You guys noted in your information that infiltration is not recommended. You will be seeking a waiver from the infiltration requirements, I would assume?
So during the land development process, when the stormwater management ordinance is applied, if that's a requirement, yes, we still have to really look into that. I know the ordinance does have some language to that effect. If we were to ask for the waiver, we would say it's justified based upon the existing physical conditions of the property.
Some of these are just for clarification for
Yes.
people that don't know the process.
That's correct. Okay, sure, yeah.
A question for Cornelius. Have you done a lot of MRC basins of this size? Just they are exceptionally large. Obviously, some residents have posed some concerns. So have you guys as a firm designed some this size before?
Yes, we have. We have extensive experience with these type of facilities.
And just for everybody's reference, DEP requires a review at the DEP level of very large MRC basins of this stance. It's not done at the local level, correct?
That is correct, yes.
Thank you. Obviously, you mentioned inlet inserts. I'm assuming those treat things like hydrocarbons or heavy metals or things like that, or ones can be proposed that do that, correct?
That is correct.
Thank you. One question for Wilson relating to the rendering up on the board there at the moment. Obviously, colors like that are very bright. They're very kind of catchy as you drive by. Are you guys willing to consider maybe some different color to help it blend into the aesthetic of the community? I've seen some recently down in York County that were some other colors. Is that something that can be discussed?
Yes.
Perfect, I appreciate it. I think other than that, at this point, you guys have answered a lot of my questions. I have to go back and think, but I just want to do a little bit of clarification and ask one or two questions, so I appreciate it.
No, thank you for your questions.
What will happen now? We'll make our decision next month.
Yep.
And then the supervisors will have their hearing on the 25th.
correct. So, I guess between now and your next meeting, what I would suggest the planning commission members do is try and determine, I guess, figure out where you are, recommending for or against approval. If you have legal questions, obviously you can reach out maybe through Hunter to get to me. That way he can maybe compile all the questions and then I can answer them and get them back to you. But then the larger part of it is that, and this goes to some of Jason's questions you just had. I think some of them were probably tailored towards drafting up some recommended conditions if the Board of Supervisors were to approve this. So, and through the engineer, maybe they can even suggest what some of those conditions were. I believe the comments from the authority has already identified some conditions, and not that you have to take them to be gospel, but you can use them and springboard off of to, if you do recommend, obviously if you recommend denial, you wouldn't put any conditions on it, but if you, even if you recommend denial, what I would suggest that you would state that, however, if the board were to approve it, these are the conditions we would like to see. So all of that will be discussed at our meeting on Wednesday, November 7th. Again, no public comment will be taken then, just so that the applicants know what they're dealing with. We'd probably ask that the applicants and a couple consultants could be there if in case the planning commission has questions for you. And then the board will start the hearing again on November 30th. I do not anticipate we will get through the whole hearing in one night. It may happen, but I think what we'll probably start doing between now and November 30th is trying picking a second date for a hearing so that we can announce that on November 30th for a second date for a hearing for the applicant. Because while they got through their presentation fairly quickly tonight was a bunch of promises that they will meet the code. When we get to the actual hearing, we're going to have a court reporter and stenographer, and they actually will show the board how they meet some of the code sections. So,
Eric, if I can confirm.
Second, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say if I could confirm the meeting date.
Yeah.
Second.
Oh, I'm sorry, I had December up on my, so I was a month ahead. So it is November. Yep. November, so now I had December up, which the first Wednesday is the 7th. So I just had the wrong month in front of me.
What time does the planning commission normally meet? 7?
7 o'clock at the township building. So I guess, are we going to have it here? Or?
Thank you very much.
The venue may change, but right now it would be scheduled at the township.
So right now it's at the township building. For the public, keep an eye on the website. If there's a change, we will announce it. If there is a change, we'll probably post the township building as well, so that if somebody goes there and it's somewhere different, we'll give them time to show up to the change venue location. But keep an eye on the township website just in case that changes for, again, November 2nd. Yes?
Again, the meeting you said was going to deal with the use, and then there was going to be a follow-up meeting on the land and property development.
Yes, so there's actually 2 applications in front of the township right now. The first one is zoning, that's conditional use, so that's what we're talking about tonight, and that's just for the warehouse use. It is a permitted use, but they have to prove certain criteria, which you heard several members of the public talking about tonight. Most of those regulations are in section 220.111 of the zoning ordinance. So, and that's the criteria, the specific general criteria that the applicant has to go through and prove. After we get through the conditional use process, it's already started through the review process, but the public meetings haven't started yet. After we get through conditional use, the applicant will have to come back and get preliminary and final land development approval of this project. And that's when we'll get into a lot of the meat that you heard tonight. The actual stormwater design, the actual driveway design, the actual landscaping design. All those things will have to be proven to the satisfaction of the township engineer and the supervisor. So that will go through a whole nother round of meetings with the planning commission and meetings with the board of supervisors to approve that. So this is step 1 of a multi-step process.
Second land use, that would be another public meeting now?
Correct. Anything the planning commission does or the board of supervisors does will be a public meeting, and there'll be an opportunity for public comment. Okay?
Will that be after November 30th?
Yes, so none of that, I'll speak for the applicant, but I don't believe they will push forward with that land development application until we are through the conditional use process. That's just the normal way things happen.
Supervisors, approve it or whatever after the hearing, then you move forward to the next step.
Correct.
If they don't approve it, then
Well, I wouldn't say it's done. If we don't approve it, I would anticipate a court action by the applicant, so it wouldn't be over. We're not the final say. The courts would have the final say in the matter. But obviously, if we deny it, we would think it's a good reason to deny it. So by no means am I or anticipating any denial or approval at this point. I'm just saying that, I don't think the board would deny it unless they had good reasons. So.
Eric, if I may ask a question of the Planning Commission, which experts do you anticipate us needing on the 2nd in order to schedule, since everybody has busy schedules? I don't know if it was discussed or not. I mean, obviously we'll have our civil engineer here and probably a traffic engineer, but anything else? Which is that?
Noise.
Noise? Okay.
I think Tom's saying noise.
Right.
We were saying traffic and civil, so.
Right.
Well,
Yeah, I already said this too.
We agree on traffic and civil.
Yeah.
Right.
He asked which additional one.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you for your time this evening. Hunter, you can disconnect
Motion
now.
to adjourn. Second. Favor?
all right.